Eric.
Yes.
You come from a family of musicians, right?
Well, my mother, everybody in my family did play musical instruments at one. My father was a musician for a living. He was a band leader. My mother is a singer, and she also played violin. My father played violin and saxophone, but he was mainly a band leader.
Yes.
And then my...
Todos,
She will be translated for the video.
todos en mi familia tocan instrumentos. Mi papá toca el violín y mi mamá canta.
Why drums? Why? In which moments of your life you say?
I don't know. I think my story is probably the same as every drummer. Every drummer always starts by hitting pots and pans. Of course, and I asked my mother many years ago, I said, I don't know why I wanted to play drums. She said, well, when you were small, you always used to like to take the silverware and the spoons and hit the pots and pans, and I would take them out of the cupboard, so you like to do this, so...
Creo que es la historia de todo baterista, que empieza golpeando las cosas. Cuando era chico, mi mamá me decía que agarraba las cucharas y los tenedores y las golpeaba contra la mesa.
Okay, when you start to study drums?
What age?
Yes.
Well, I started to play drums, I was in the 5th grade, so I think I was about 11 years old. And I took some drum lessons for a short time, for about two or 3 years. 2 different teachers when I was younger. Just doing rudimental.
Famous teachers?
Sorry?
Famous drummers?
No. This is just where I grew up in my... But they were famous teachers in my city of Cleveland. Yes, everybody knew who they were. They were good teachers. But the one teacher I had, the first teacher was very more of a disciplinarian, more strict. He was a very good teacher, but I find you have to have a good rapport, good chemistry with a teacher, so you want to learn. The second teacher I had, he was great. His name was Buddy Cummel, and he made the lessons and made drumming fun. And to me, that's what it's supposed to be. So I learned a very important lesson very young. At a very early age, you have to make it fun for people.
And which music did you listen
Well, I have older sisters, so she used to always play, of course, in the 60s, Beatles and Motown. A lot of Motown, Temptations, Supremes, all the Motown stuff. And then, of course, what?
What kind of music?
Well, it's Motown. The Motown is before funk, really. Motown is more like the Temptations, Diana Ross, Supremes, this kind of style. And then, of course, the Beatles and Rolling Stones, because we would see them on television. Every Sunday night, everybody would watch Ed Sullivan's show, which is the show that made the Beatles famous, but they would always have music on there. I remember Dave Clark Five, he was the drummer and the band leader. Also, Eric Burden and the Animals and Vanilla Fudge. So all these bands I would see on TV. But the biggest impact for me, I remember the most, was really Beatles and probably Dave Clark Five and Paul Revere and the Raiders. I remember those bands the most, and the Rolling Stones from being a kid.
Okay. And
But then I got to be about 12 or 6, maybe 12 or 13. Then I, of course, once I hear Led Zeppelin, that was it. And Black Sabbath. Then I wanted to. This is the music I liked, was the heavy stuff. Humble Pie.
When you listen to Black Sabbath, do you think anytime they will be playing with?
Of course not. No, I never know.
And when you come to play with Black Sabbath, they call you what? What was that?
Well, they didn't call. What happened was they didn't just call me to play with them. What happened was I was playing with Lita Ford, and Tony Iommi was engaged to Lita. They were engaged to be married. That was her boyfriend. So he saw me playing with her and asked me to play in the studio some recording, and that's how I met.
Okay.
He saw me playing, and
did you record something with Sabbath?
Yeah, 2 records.
2 records.
The Seventh Star and The Eternal Idol. Those records. Seventh Star is with Glenn Hughes singing from Deep Purple, and then Eternal Idol was done with Ray Gillen singing, I was in Badlands with.
Yeah.
But then Ray left the band, so they replaced the vocals. Why are you kicking her? Your arm's tired?
¿Qué?
¿Vos entendés o querés que te
No,
traduzca?
And then The second record was with Tony
Voy a
Martin.
dormir a mi casa.
And your professional career, when started your professional career?
Well, I started playing in my father's band when I was 14 years old.
Yes.
My father was a band leader in Cleveland, Ohio. So I played in his band for 10 years, and then I moved to California. The first touring or recording band was Lita Ford in end of 1984. I started playing with her.
But that music is not that the music that you are. Quiero decir que la música que tocaba en ese momento no es con la que hoy está emparentado. En este momento se tira más hacia el rock duro.
Okay, and the music that you used to play in that time is not the kind of music you are playing right now. So which time you start to play the hard rock?
Well, I always wanted to play. I always loved, from the time I'm about 12 years old, like I said, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Humble Pie, Uriah Heep, Deep Purple, all these kind of bands, as well as I also liked a lot of progressive. Being a drummer, you always go through a period or phase when you want to listen to all styles of drummers. So I listened to Yes, Bill Bruford, Billy Cobham, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Return to Forever, Jeff Beck when he started doing more like blow by blow and wired more than fusion, and so I started listening to these kind of drummers as well. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. In that period, the music scene was everybody would. I remember most of my friends. We would go and see more different types of music, more variety. Now most people, I think, are not so much open-minded as much. They usually like, either new metal or speed metal or whatever. But when I was younger, we would go to see Black Sabbath, and then we'd go see John McLaughlin the next night, or we'd go and see a jazz band. We would see all the styles. But I always wanted to play hard rock since I was very young. I just started playing in my dad's band because he made me. So I didn't have a choice. He said, "You're playing drums," and that was it. My dad was very kind of a dictator, very domineering.
There's no option.
Yeah, no option. He made me play in the band when I was very small, and I was only about this big, very tiny. I remember when I got my first good drum set. I bought a Roger. My father bought me for my 14th birthday a set of Rogers from Solar Sparkle with a 24-inch bass drum.
24?
Yeah, 24 and a 12, 13, and 16. And at this time, most people only would play 22. Almost all my friends that were drummer all had 22, but I wanted this 24 because I saw it in the window of the shop, sitting in the front, and it was big. And I was very small. I was about, maybe this big.
Yeah.
Very small. And my dad said, I remember my dad said, "I think that's too big. Are you going to be able to play that?" I said, "No, I want that one." I wanted that big bass drum. And so that's the one he bought me. And it was, for a small kid, it was a big drum set. But I still have that same set.
Oh, yeah.
I still have it. Oh, yeah. I kept it all these years. In fact, I used it on some recording a few times. A couple records I used it on.
And you before playing, you were playing with
A lot of bands.
no from Kiss. Sorry, because I have a lot of names in my head. With Eric Singer. Sorry, I'm playing. With Paul Stanley. You played with Paul Stanley before you went
Yes.
to the Kiss.
In 1989.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was actually in a band called Badlands at the time, and we were in New York City recording the first record, and our management company, the manager's office was in New York, and one of the other guys who they manage came to the office and said, "What is Eric doing? Because Paul Stanley is going to do a solo tour. He needs a drummer." And I was done recording my drum tracks, and he said, "Well, he's done. He's just going to go home. They're going to finish the record. It's not going to come out until maybe 4 or 5 months from now." So he told Paul Stanley about me, and then